Bene. Welcome to Academic Conference. Here, representatives of 6 leading universities in Germany and Japan will discuss on the topic of the following: building resilient societies following the Great East Japan earthquake and COVID-19. This is the first academic conference to be held as a part of the Hexagon President's Conference, and it is open to the public. I'm Noriko Osumi, Vice President of Tohoku University, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Thank you very much. To open the conference, Dr. Hideo Ohno, President of Tohoku University, will give the opening remarks. President Ohno, please.
Well, good afternoon and good morning to those who are in Germany. I'm honored to welcome you all today to this academic conference hosted by us, Tohoku University, on behalf of Hexagon and the German Embassy in Tokyo. As most of you know, the Hexagon Alliance of 6 top research universities in Japan and Germany was founded in 2010 to promote academic exchange and collaboration among its members. It's a nice coincidence that this year we're also celebrating the 160th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Japan and Germany. So let me talk a little bit about Tohoku University for those who may not be familiar with us. It was founded in 1907 as Japan's 3rd national university. Since then, we have achieved world-leading research results under the principles of research first, open doors, and practice-oriented research education. For open doors, particularly, we are proud that we are the first Japanese university to accept German students. Well, Germany already an important partner for us. Well, Dr. Kotaro, who was Tohoku University's 6th president and a renowned pioneer in the field of materials science, conducted research at the University of Göttingen, where he later received an honorary doctorate. More recently, in July this year, Mai Ishizawa, a Tohoku University graduate, currently studying in Germany, won the Akutagawa Prize, one of the most prestigious literary awards in Japan. She said that COVID-19 lockdown in Germany reminded her of the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011, and that inspired her to write her award-winning story about an earthquake in Tohoku. In today's academic conference, Professor Fumihiko Imamura, director of our International Research Institute of Disaster Science, will give a keynote lecture about the Great East Japan earthquake and the recovery and reconstruction effort that's been going on for the past decade. A key theme there and today and tomorrow is resilience. That is going to be the theme for the president's panel that will follow. As academic institutions, our role is to share what we know and use our knowledge to improve the community and the world around us. And that is what we are here today to do. I hope that everyone finds our conference intellectually stimulating and useful. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, President Ohno. In a moment, I'll call on Dr. Bernhard Eitel, Rector of Heidelberg University, to address his opening remarks. But before that, I'd like to inform you, as President Ohno just mentioned, that in April, Rector Eitel was awarded the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Star, Kyokujitsuju Kosho in Japanese, by the government of Japan for his contribution to promotion of academic exchanges and strengthening of relations between Germany and Japan. Of course, he has played a central role in the establishment and operation of this hexagon. Many warm congratulations. Now, Rector Eitel, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I feel very honored, and thank you very much to everybody who contributed that I was awarded by the Japanese government and the Japanese people. Thank you very much. Concerning now our meeting and the academic conference, I would like to stress the fact that universities are the backbone of research in our world. And together, we can fight disasters and we can fight pandemics even better than we can do it alone. And therefore, Hexagon plays a crucial role, not only in our countries, but I think also globally. So to face disasters and pandemics, our scientists, the universities as a whole, our scientists advise governments and politicians, but also they contribute to provide knowledge and instruments to fight the disasters. And therefore, it's necessary that we have an exchange about ideas, instruments, possibilities, and new knowledge on the one hand. And then on the other hand, that we have instruments to translate our knowledge to societies. And by doing so, this conference can contribute a little bit. I welcome you everybody now to this conference, Building Resilient Societies Following the Great East Japan Earthquake and COVID-19 Pandemic, Disasters with a Global Impact. And therefore, thank you very much for our scientists, for the keynote lecturer, and thank you very much for your contribution, and thank you very much for your attendance to this conference. Thank you.
Vielen Dank. Thank you, Rector Eitel. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Klaus Vietze, Minister of the Embassy of Federal Republic of Germany in Tokyo, to also say a few words. Dr. Vietze, please. I'm sorry, I could not hear from Dr. Vietze. Dr. Vietze.
Perhaps he can join us after the keynote lecture and giving us his greetings.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Well, yes, please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So we are now ready to proceed on the keynote speech, which will be given by Professor Fumihiko Imamura, who is the director of the National Research Institute of Disaster Science at Tohoku University. The title of his keynote is The Role of Universities in Building a Disaster Resilient Society, Overviews of the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami. Professor Imamura, please start.
Thank you very much for my introduction. So I'm very pleased and honor for me to deliver the keynote lecture today. So now let me start using that keynote using my slide. Maybe, can you see slide?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you very much. So this is the title of my keynote speech today, the Rural University in the Building Disaster Resilience Society, including the overview of the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake tsunami. So this is the first page, and which is the main message from the our lesson learned from 2011. First one is the disaster information knowledge should save lives. And also, resilience system should save not only the life, but also community. Now the keyword of the resilience become very popular, and which is the ability to anticipate and respond and adapt to the unexpected disturbances. So we need to strengthen disaster preparedness and response for the action, anticipation, event, and ensure the capacity in the place effective responses. And the recovery, rehabilitation, reconstruction phase is a very critical point to build back better from the Sendai framework for DRR. So this is in the beginning. Let me explain the increasing natural disasters, and let me introduce the giant earthquake tsunami in these days. So you can see the figures showing the giant earthquake followed by the tsunami over 100 years. So you can see here on the map, and also on the bottom, you can see the figure showing the magnitude of earthquake to generate the tsunami. In the beginning of the 20th century, Colombia and Ecuador, we have the large earthquake and follow the small earthquake like this. But in the middle of the 20th century, 52 Kamchatka, followed by the 20 Chile, magnitude 9.5, and 64 Alaska. So it is very high frequent and high activity of the seismology. But after that, which activity decreasing rapidly. But now we are in the beginning of the 21st centuries. After 2004, Sumatra, Andaman, Indonesian earthquake and tsunami, and followed by the 10 Chile and 11 Tohoku. So still we have the big activities of the giant earthquake followed by the tsunami. So look like every 50 years, we have the high seismicity in the world. So let me explain the example of the large disaster, which is the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. So at that time, around 230,000 casualties in this area and shocked the world. After this, the new tsunami warning system was started in Indonesian oceans. Unfortunately, they saw that the German and Japanese victims are almost 560 and 44 respectively. So you can see the tsunami propagation here. In this tsunami propagate to the Thailand, Phuket area. This is the resort area. And in the west, tsunami already reached to the Sri Lanka and India, and proceeding to the Maldives and affected very much and causing the big damages. And finally, tsunami reached to the east coast of the Africa. So we can say this is very oceanic-wide tsunami. So again, 10 years ago, we have the giant earthquake in Tohoku, Japan. So epicenter was located offshore the Sendai Hirth. The magnitude of the earthquake estimated to the 9.0. This is the fourth largest earthquake in the world. Still, we have the aftershocks, even the 10 years passed. This year, February, March, May, almost magnitude 7 continued happening and causing the damages. So following the earthquake, tsunami was generated, and we have in Japan a tsunami warning immediately after the earthquake, and to order the evacuation and the information dispatched all around the coast of Japan. The time of the tsunami reaching to the coast, less than 20 or 30 minutes, very quick. And more than 7 tsunami in the first 6 hours after the main shock, but it continued for 2 days. And after our survey and analysis, we made such a computer graphic. So after the generation and the tsunami propagates to the coastal area of the Sanrik area, it is very complicated shoreline. So tsunami easily amplified, becoming higher. And Fukushima nuclear plant is located here, and Sendai is located here. So almost more than 10-meter tsunami affected all coast of the Tohoku, and you can see now back tsunami current coming back to the ocean side and propagate to the other area and reach to the coastal area and inundated very much. And it's repeated. So we can say kind of the oscillation happened or the tsunami for 2 days. So as I mentioned, the Japanese government had a tsunami warning. It started already 70 years ago, and which we can say non-structural measures to inform the people. So whenever earthquake happened, we can get information with the earthquake, and by using the database, we can provide the tsunami arrival time and the tsunami height before tsunami attack within 3 minutes. So this is one of most advanced warning, I think, in the world. So this is the series of the information. So 3 minutes after, this is the first issue of the tsunami warning, but only 3 minutes after the main shock. So 6 meters in Miyagi, 3 meters in other area, which are too underestimate to let people evacuate, because we already have the breakwater and the seawall more than 5 meters. So this information is not accurate. So rapid information sometimes less accurate. But after the time, over the time, accuracy will improve, but not in the time for the people's evacuation. So it is called trade-off. So this is a big problem. To solve such a situation, we have the big improvement of the earthquake tsunami observation and the detection system in real time. You can see the map of the ocean side. We installed the many sensors, more than 150, to detect earthquake tsunami very shortly. So wherever earthquake tsunami, we can get some sign and we can provide more accurate information in real time. However, such system is not common. A very limited number of the places where many sensors are installed. So now we need to apply the new way by using the AI and artificial intelligence, even the small information, but we can utilize the AI. We provide or predict the tsunami wave like this. We apply to the other cases in Tokyo, where near future the earthquake tsunami happened. So we apply the AI to cover the density detection system. So third one, as the triple disaster, which is the nuclear plant failure, one of the worst nuclear incidents triggered by the earthquake tsunami, and temporarily assessed at the level 7, it is worst by the IAEA. Still, the decommissioning work continues. So now let me introduce what Tohoku University response after the earthquake tsunami, including establishment of the IRIDES, a new research institute of disaster sciences, aiming to build a resilient society. So this is the new Institute for Disaster Reconstruction and Regeneration Research started in Tohoku University immediately after the earthquake. We have 8 projects, including the IRIDES, and also community health, environmental energy, ICT, marine science, and extra. And also we have the reconstruction action, more than 100. So many faculty and students participate. So we have the 3 missions. One is the contribution to the post-disaster reconstruction and regional regeneration. Second one is the multidisciplinary center of the excellence for the post-disaster recovery. Last one is the cross-disciplinary research organization to conduct problem-solving project. So one of the 8 projects is the IRIDES. This is a new research institute in the disasters affected area. We have the 7 divisions and 37 fields. First one is the disaster natural sciences, and the second one, hazard disaster reduction study, it is technology, and the third one is the human social sciences to support affected people. And disaster medical sciences for the rescue and save lives. So fifth and recovery reconstruction, third one is the archive to compile all available data. So we have the mission to establish practical disaster management studies to identify or theorize disaster-related phenomena in each stage or phase of the disaster cycle. You can see it here. And to establish the area of the disaster management study that supports building a society more resilient to the disasters. So we have the discussion how we can reduce the disaster risk for the build back better after the disaster by using the resilience curve. You can see the bottom. So after the disaster, our activity become down. We need a response and we need a recovery and reconstruction. And in some cases, we cannot reach to the original level before the disaster. So it is called a negative spiral. After the disaster repeated, our activity going down and down, we need a change. So we need the better preparedness and effective response modes and recovery and reconstruction. So to the preparedness, we can reduce the direct damage immediately and effective response increasing the or rapid the process or reconstruction. So we can reach to the higher level of the activity before the disaster. It is called the positive spiral to make sure the sustainable development, we believe. So third one is the movement of the World Society and the United Nations for 2030. So let me introduce the 3 major international agenda, including the Sendai framework for DRR for Build Back Better. So this is the figure showing a series of the United Nations conference in the past, especially to 2015. On the top, we have the meeting for the development, and in the middle, disaster risk reduction discussion, and the bottom is the climate change. In the year of the 2015, we have the three big conferences organized by the UN. First one is the Sendai in the March 2015, and we have the big discussion to propose a new framework for disaster risk reduction, and which are adopted in more than 187 countries. We have the 4 priorities and 7 global targets, reducing the human and some economic loss, or increasing the international cooperation and extra, and 38 indicators. And the second one is the sustainable goals held in New York in September, and which are adopted more than 190 countries. As you know, 17 goals and almost 170 indicators. Final one is the Paris Agreement in the December. UN FCCC adopted more than 190 countries. So this is the series, and we can say global agenda, 3 major agendas. Let me introduce some of the priority for the action from the Sendai framework. First priority is understanding the disaster risk. Disaster risk management should be based on the understanding of the disaster risk in the all dimensions of the vulnerability, capacity, exposure of the person, and assess hazard characteristic and environment. Such knowledge can be used for risk assessment and prevention, mitigation, preparedness responses. So this is the first priority in the Sendai. And the fourth priority is build back better. In the recovery and rehabilitation and reconstruction, we should increase the level before the disasters. So you can see the figure on the bottom. This is an example of the reconstruction of the Sendai. It is called tsunami resilient city. So this plain area affected by the tsunami completely. So after that, we have the big discussion for the planning. So we introduced multi-layer protection system for the all hazard. So along the coast, we built the seawall by the concrete, but try to as lower as possible. 7.2 meter seawall to protect not only the tsunami, but also the storm surge and high waves. Behind them, we should utilize the natural effort, which is a tsunami control forest, green infrastructures. So it is 200, 400 meter wide and on the artificial hills. So here we can have the highway to elevate or rise several meters to protect the tsunami and also flood from the riverside. So it did work at the dike. And we built evacuation facility, including the building. So this is the map of the tsunami damaged area in Sendai. This area completely affected by the tsunami. All buildings and the houses are washed away. So after the discussion of the planning, pink area are prohibited of the area, people not allowed to live. The people move to the new residential area inside and build the new building and the houses. And this is a highway, elevated, and with evacuation stairs, go up easily. And using the green area, farmland, and we have the evacuation building, and we have the new restoration of the wastewater facilities. So I hope it is a good example for the build back better. It's big change before the disasters. So now we have the discussion for the future issues, which is health for DRI. So disaster risk should include not only natural human-made disaster, but also pandemic such as COVID-19. we are aware that key of the mitigation and the reduction of the area for the all disaster should be health, cultures, and rules. The Sendai framework described for the first time that disaster affect very much health of the people. So that's why the new word of the health in the document, in the Yokohama, it is 0. But the Kyogo framework 2005, it is 3 only. But in the Sendai, more than 10 times. So new keyword of the health, very important, I think. So this is a new plan of the Tohoku University, just 10 years after the earthquake. We are going to, from the disaster recovery toward the green future in the time of the COVID. So this is a little bit busy figures, but we have the green goal initiative, consists of the 3, green technology, social innovation inclusion, creating social new values, and the last one is the recovery and resiliences. So we started a new stage. So this is the conclusion of my keynote today. First one, we cannot respond more than prepared. The disaster prevention preparedness can certainly reduce damages, but cannot be reduced to the 0. So that's why we need appropriate disaster information knowledge, including real time, save their lives. But we need the judgment or response under the uncertainty circumstances. So that's why we need to build the legend society, with more abilities to anticipate, response, and adapt to the unexpected disturbances from ISO 22316, including any kind of the disasters, risk, such as COVID-19. The resilience system or phase for disaster management cycle should save not only lives, but also communities. Thank you very much for your attention. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Imamura, for introducing some various activities in the field of the disaster science. I think that practical-oriented research is one of the policy in Tohoku University. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to invite again Dr. Klaus Vietze. There was some connection problem, but it seemed that it's solved. So Dr. Klaus Vietze is a minister of the Embassy of Federal Republic of Germany in Tokyo. So could you please give the remarks? Thank you.
Good evening or good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. And I'm sorry that my Zoom connection broke for the very second I started to speak. So speaking about resilience, we have still a lot to do, I would say. Dear President Ohno, dear Rector Eitel, dear Professor Imamura, and distinguished representatives of the Hexagon universities. This year we celebrate 160 years of official relations between Germany and Japan, and our excellent relations were from the very beginning also a success story of cooperation and exchange in science and in research. Despite COVID-19, we are even today on a good track regarding our economic, political, and security relations. Bilateral trade might even have increased a little bit. But cultural exchange, as well as students and youth exchange, have suffered badly. The resilience of cooperative partnership between universities might be a big issue in the near future. In many fields, we have already developed much better tools and also much better awareness of tools to foster such relations. Distance is no longer an impeding issue. Language barriers are going down by the day. To join a working group in Heidelberg now from Sender is absolutely common. And I think in the near future, we will, with 5G, holography, and other developments, soon reach a new technical dimension where we will soon have the feeling to really sit together in virtual rooms. And we have to learn all that. But these technical tools are only one side of the medal. To know those tools does not automatically mean that you also want to use them. Why people really like to cooperate with each other in countries as far apart as Germany and Japan is a very complex issue. The human sides of resilience of this kind of relations which you try to achieve with a hexagon network, the human side of these networks is probably in the long run the more important one. What worries us is that Japan has kept its doors closed for students and scholars from Germany and other countries completely, even now for the autumn semester, and is showing no effort so far to alleviate the situation, not even for fully vaccinated and tested students who would accept all quarantine measures. If this situation takes much longer, a whole generation of students and young scientists who were once interested in Japan will, after 2 years of disappointment, turn to other shores. I can only promise you that the German embassy will do its utmost to keep at least our gates in Germany open for Japanese students and not make matters even worse from the German side. Ladies and gentlemen, in science and education, university networks like Hexagon have proved their value during the Corona crisis and will continue to be a strong backbone for our relations. Let me use this opportunity to congratulate Professor Bernhard Eitel, who was awarded the Order of the Rising Sun for his outstanding contribution to the promotion of German-Japanese exchange, including for his long-standing commitment to founding and building up the German-Japanese University Consortium Hexagon. I would also like to mention Mai Ishizawa, who majored in Western art history at the Graduate School of Letters, Tohoku University, and is currently studying in Japan, who won the Akutagawa Prize this year. The Hexagon partnership enhances a trusting relationship between our two countries. I would like to thank all who have worked very hard to ensure the success of this 8th German-Japanese University President's Conference, and I wish the conference a great success and all guests and participants a most rewarding and enjoyable time. So thank you for your patience and all the best for this conference. Thank you very much.
Vielen Dank, Dr. Vietze. Thank you very much. So now we would like to move on to the Hexagon President's Panel. For the President Panel, I'd like to ask each university's representatives to comment on the topics raised in the keynote speech, which is shown here. And or maybe okay, thank you very much. So there are topic 1 and there are 2 items. So the distinguished panelists, please specify the key concept in 1 or 2 words and briefly explain the reason. So we will first hear from President Hideo Ohno of Tohoku University. President Ohno, please.
The answer to the first question is that universities play a very important role in difficult situations before and after the situation takes place. COVID-19, of course, is an obvious example. Many researchers had voiced about the risk of infectious diseases before the pandemic broke out. After, thanks to the long-term research, the world was able to benefit from vaccines much, much earlier than would normally be expected. Within this context, I would like to emphasize the importance of the power of foresight based on science and preparing for the future. In order for us to be able to respond quickly to future challenges, we have to be prepared for them, as we learned from Imamura Sensei's plenary talk. This means that we have to be able to imagine what is likely to happen in the future, and hence we need the power of foresight based on science, and it requires imagination as well. So back in 2007, Tohoku University faculty, then Professor Koji Minoura, found that massive tsunami had hit the region repeatedly with a period of approximately 400 years and warned the society about it. The society could not respond fast enough, which resulted in loss of 20,000 people and the meltdown of Fukushima nuclear power plant, as we just learned from Imamura Sensei. In order not to repeat this, power of foresight is not just enough. We also need preparing for the future that involves co-creating the future with society. Well, many such societal issues are long-term. We are all working on to achieve carbon neutrality in 2050, for example. Another long-term issue is, perhaps particularly in Japan, is aging. Here, our country is aging quite rapidly, and in 2050, 38% of population will be over 65, the highest in the world. But beyond 2050, the percentage remains approximately constant, which means in the 21st century, which means that Japan will become, again, the first country to have constant population percentage of over 65. I think university is the only sector that can think things well in advance and have power to prepare for the transition and to shape a new societal system that benefit all. Well, our activities on all fronts, in addition to creating comprehensive knowledge based on various disciplines, humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences, our activities on all fronts have to be shaped in such a way that we cultivate abilities of next generation to respond to the issues that society will face in the future. So that is our ultimate role and responsibility. Well, with respect to the second question, Tohoku University has launched this April Green Goals Initiative that aims to realize a green and resilient society. It's through this initiative, Tohoku University will foster ecologically minded leaders, develop green technology, and promote co-creation with society to contribute to the realization of green society together with our Hexagon partners. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Ohno. So next, Rector Professor Dr. Bernhard Eitel from Heidelberg University. Could you please start?
Thank you very much. I would like to emphasize as well, and as my colleague Ohno did it already, that universities are the backbone of national also, and as in global context, are the backbone of research. And they provide future for societies. They provide future for societies because they produce knowledge and they supply experts to society in order to applicate knowledge for the society. They can also advise politicians, and I want to stress in my part of the response to the questions, to the answers, I want to focus a little bit on the complex relationship between universities and experts, the scientists, and policy. First of all, I want to thank colleague Imamura for his inspiring, his comprehensive and very informative talk he gave. And I have, as Earth scientists, several questions. Perhaps we can handle them later on. But I don't want to go in this detail, but I want to stress, as I mentioned already, I want to stress the relationship between the university scientists, researchers, and the politicians. Because I'm deeply convinced that the standing and the acceptance of researchers, of university members, depend on the distance they keep to policymakers and the society. They are part of society, they advise, they provide instruments and knowledge and even tools, but they do not select and applicate them. That's the task and the responsibility of the politicians. And therefore, the distance to their own research depends directly on the distance to, or vice versa, on the distance to policy. That means the researcher always knows, a good researcher knows about the limits of its knowledge. And therefore, he knows also that his knowledge is not the comprehensive and the overall ending truth of reality. And therefore, it's always a task to bring all aspects together in a society, for the politician to select the tool to do something for the benefit of the society, also in case of disasters and in other issues. Therefore, I would like to say that, and again, universities are crucial for the benefit and the future of societies. They supply and provide knowledge and experts. But last but not least, as part of society, they are not the final decision makers. These must be the politicians in their own responsibility based on democratic votings and elections. And therefore, I think societies are not only faced with disasters and the mitigation and everything what is related with them, they are also faced with the balance between the impact of universities on societies and how societies handle the results provided by the universities and the experts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eitel. So next, I'd like to ask the Vice President, Professor Dr. Thomas Hirth from Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. So Dr. Hirth, please.
Yes, thank you very much. In the 21st century, universities, and we have heard this before, have an increasingly greater social responsibility. For example, as climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic have shown to us. And for example, we as KIT have taken this up in our mission. And it is written there that KIT provides knowledge for the benefit of the society and the environment, and we make significant contributions to the global challenges facing of humanity. And in this context, universities can contribute to the creation of a resilient society with different measures. And I would like to mention the following 5, and I would also like to give some examples from the KIT side. First, basic research and preventive research for new technologies, methods, as well as strategies in areas like climate and environment, corona research, or disaster research. And I think it's also very important that this also includes technology assessment. For example, KIT operates the Office for Technology Assessment of the German Parliament. The cooperation with industry, transfer our latest results from basic research and applied research to industry in the fields of climate research, risk management, disaster research. And I think that is also very important in both countries, Germany as well as Japan, to support startups in those areas. Thirdly, formats for better interaction with the society, and this has been mentioned several times before, to offer science information services, and that was also mentioned in the keynote lecture, and to operate real-world labs for the discussion with the society, as well as to have the feedback and to enable the participation of the society also in research, which becomes more and more important. In the morning, I said that people are asking more and more what we are doing, why we are doing this, and what is the benefit for the society. Fourth, international strategic cooperations with universities and university networks like the Hexagon Network, as well as with non-university research organizations, industry, and public authorities to enable and to strengthen joint research and development. Fifth, the education of our students and the training of young researchers. And therefore, for example, KIT has established in year 2019 in the framework of the excellence competition RT, that is an academy for responsible research, teaching, and innovation. This is just these are just my thoughts about the questions which we are asked before, and the contribution of the KIT to this part of the discussion within the academic conference of Hexagon. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hirth. So next, I would like to ask a representative for international affairs, Professor Dr. Hiltraud Casper-Hehne, so from University of Göttingen. So please.
Yes, thank you so much. Exceptional situations, as for example, large-scale disasters or a new pandemic in the future, require a high degree of resilience in societies, as expressed in particular in the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. One of the most urgent tasks of universities and other institutions of higher learning is to describe and systematically investigate the basis for this resilience, and thus to identify ways in which a society can concretely increase its resilience and flexibly adapt to changing conditions. In this context, for the University of Göttingen, the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals is very important. And I would like to demonstrate with an example how we implement these goals, namely in the framework of ENLIGHT, as an example how universities can contribute to the creation of resilient societies. ENLIGHT stands for European University Network to promote equitable quality of life, sustainability, and global engagement through higher education transformation. The network brings together 9 comprehensive research-intensive universities which share a deep commitment to their social responsibility and readiness to respond to the threats to our quality of life. The University Network ENLIGHT recently has become a European university. That means that the European Union will fund the network with €8 million for a 3-year period. ENLIGHT's agenda on education, research, and innovation pertains to at least 10 of the United Nations' 17 Sustainable Development Goals, with a particular focus on sustainable cities and communities, contributing through quality education, local and global partnerships, good health and well-being, affordable and clean energy, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and reduce inequalities. Therefore, all ENLIGHT activities are related to 5 flagship challenges: health and well-being, digital revolution, impact of digitization, climate change, energy use and circular economy, and equity. ENLIGHT's mission is to empower scientists and students across Europe to become globally engaged citizens with the ability to address and contribute to the solution of societal challenges within these 5 flagship areas as future agents of change. The ENLIGHT universities have a strong scientific background in these challenges and will use them as test beds for innovative learning and research experience for our students and staff. On this way, we aim to transform the way we address the global challenges by embedding a societal view into state-of-the-art research and education. This innovative educational approach consists of involving local stakeholders in defining expected competencies, but also in co-creating learning formats. Key themes for developing AG are short programs, living labs, and Erasmus Mundus joint master programs in the flagship challenges, health and well-being, and climate change. So that are the impact of aging populations, especially on brain, mental, and societal health, the impact of environmental change and health disparities, opportunities for future cities through precision medicine, digital public health, data-driven prevention, and evidence health in all policies, the impact of climate change on biodiversity and land use, socio-ecosystems, relation between cities and surrounding rural areas, and mitigation through improved environmental impact assessment, as well as intersectoral initiatives for climate neutrality. Our first programs will be a mentorship program empowering young women's leaders in global health, the short programs applying serious game design in healthcare and education and focusing on impact of agriculture, food consumption habits in global warming, and the Living Lab anthropology of climate change. The flagship areas, key themes, and programs mentioned above offer numerous points of contact, interfaces, and opportunities for linking to the 4 priority areas of the Hexagon network. The University of Göttingen can bring its expertise and experience with these aspects into the Hexagon network and link them with the respective competencies of the other partners. Therefore, we see the formation of alliances for the focused treatment of global challenges as an opportunity to contribute to the creation of a resilient society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hehne. So next, move on to the Japanese side. President Nagahiro Minato from Kyoto University. Could you please?
Thank you very much. As indicated by former speakers, we're actually facing with global upheavals, a number of those, including natural disasters due to climate changes, COVID-19 pandemic, which may not be the last, and strong impacts on AI technologies on human life and social ways. And actually, particularly this COVID-19 has been a big challenge, not only to all society, but also to the universities. And we learned several important lessons out of those. First is academic platforms among major research institutions and universities are crucial to deliver proper scientific facts and necessary guidelines to social and political decision makers. And I regret to say that this hasn't been really done well, at least in Japan. So that's an important point we have to notice. And second, our important issue has been the multidisciplinarity of research. It is essential to cope with current major issues of so-called post-normal science areas, which is very complex, of course, and involves a number of different stakes. And in this sense, we recently launched a Center for Multidisciplinary Studies of Law and Policies in the school to perform collaborative studies for legal aspects in pandemics, AI issues, and many others. And these types of multidisciplinary studies involve, for instance, medical people in pandemics and informatics people in AI and all the rest would be very crucial to find real or better solutions towards those major issues which we are going to face. So in that sense, major research universities should play a central role to organize those systems to deliver our message to society and policy makers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Minato. So finally, the President Shojiro Nishio from Osaka University. Nishio Sensei, please.
Thank you. I believe the role of universities in the time of crisis is strengthen co-creation with society, as President Ohno emphasized. Co-creation is a core concept that I have been promoting as president of Osaka University to establish our own university's ecosystem, which achieves a sustainable virtuous cycle of resources among society. However, to answer your questions more in concrete terms, especially in the context of a pandemic or large-scale disaster, I'd like to share our latest initiative, the launch of the Center for Infectious Disease Education and Research, called CIDER for short. Established in April this year, CIDER serves to protect our life from the threat of infectious diseases. Even before the outbreak of COVID-19, Osaka University has been known for cutting-edge infectious disease research. And after the outbreak, many departments within our university are working together to develop vaccines, diagnostic techniques, as well as treatment and drug for COVID-19. The Osaka University Hospital has provided intensive care for critically ill patients and offers regular medical services to communities. So what distinguishes CIDER from our past endeavors is based on our awareness and lessons from the pandemic. For example, CIDER addresses the need of three areas. First, we needed to speed up and shorten the time to develop vaccines and drugs for treatment. Pandemics and disasters such as COVID-19 will happen again. We need to better prepare ourselves for recurring challenges to humanity. Second, universities have a role in improving science literacy among the public. Our essential mission is to disseminate information on the latest scientific knowledge, but we need to go beyond academia. We have learned how destructive and damaging inaccurate information and rumors can be in the time of the pandemic. Education to promote science literacy among the public is critical. Third, pandemic and disaster control require multidisciplinary expertise and interventions. For instance, social science data, such as economic indices, transportation and logistics, and human flows need to be analyzed as part of a strategy to deal with infectious diseases. CIDER thus enlists behavioral economists, psychologists, and other humanities and social science scholars among its faculty. Osaka University is committed to reassessing what it means to be a university. Through co-creation with wider society, we will solve challenges that confront humanity. Since most of these difficulties are global in scale, it is also important for us to co-create with global partners. I consider Hexagon members to be our important partners in contributing to global challenges and creating a resilient society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Nishio. And thank you very much, distinguished panelists, for your insightful comments. We reconfirm that the importance of our leading universities, at least in regard with the two aspects, in my opinion. The first, foresight based on science and knowledge is important for society. And also we can promote more international networking and collaborations. So now we only have about several minutes, but if you anyone want to make an additional comment, please raise your hand or please turn on your microphone. Okay, Dr. Eitel, please.
Thank you very much for contributions, dear colleagues. I just want to share with you one impression I had during the pandemic. Such disasters like the COVID-19 pandemic produces, and I cite now a colleague from France, in his university, more than 1,000 experts in radios and television and so on. And I just want to focus and to emphasize in this context that it's very dangerous because such great or big disasters, global pandemics and so on, they are so complex that always every discipline sees a challenge to contribute to the solution. But not every expert of every discipline has a comprehensive knowledge to really deal with the complexity of such a pandemic or a disaster. And therefore, it's very, very dangerous that, and we also have to train our colleagues and the young scientists only to focus on their expertise and to separate private opinion from really scientific facts and expertise. And I would like to ask my colleagues whether they have the same impression that in diverse disasters, they find more than hundreds and thousands of experts in the university. And if that's the fact, that shows to me, shows to us, I think, the necessity, the need to focus on this fact, because if experts of one special detail contribute their personal individual opinion in television and other news and so on to society as a scientific fact, they have not the internal distance between their own expertise and their own opinion and the political context. And therefore, I think we have a need to train our colleagues, established as well as, in particular, the young scientists, to keep in mind what's their position and what the danger universities are running if we have thousands of experts which are in reality only expert in one special thing. And that's a danger in the moment that like COVID-19 discussions or climate change discussions, and so every scientist feels as an expert in the whole comprehensive complexity, whereas in reality, he or she is only an expert in a special part of the whole spectrum of expertise needed to mitigate and to fight against the disaster. And I think that's what I meant before, the balance finding between the role of universities and university members as experts and their role if they are asked by journalists or by others, by politicians, to give advice. So the limits of their own expertise has been must made visible in every mind and visible also for the journalist who is asking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the following the Rector Eitel's comments, do you have any further additional comments?
Okay.
Okay, so first, the Minato sensei, please, and then the Nishio sensei, and
Yeah, I think that current comment was very important ones. That's why I said we had to have platforms, and if individual scientists or experts, whoever, go straight to the public to express their own expertise, it would simply, bring confusions. So at the academic platform, we have to bring up all those expertise to normalize or making balances so that we can eventually put those guidelines, whatever, facts to the decision makers, governments or social decision makers. So this distance sense, from individual to reporters and government, those things, as you say, could be a very dangerous one. So I still think that the efforts to make platforms among the academic experts to discuss within that platform would be very important.
thank you very much, President Minato and Nishio sensei. So you last.
I fully agree with the comment from President Eitel. As he said, comprehensive knowledge is very important, and biased knowledge is very dangerous. So one of the keywords for answering the question of this panel is we need a multidisciplinary research, and the integration between natural science and liberal arts and humanities are very important at this moment, I think.
Thank you very much. So we would like to move on to the next topic. The Secretariat, could you please? Thank you. So to finish off, I'd like to ask each university about the next topic. Hexagon is an alliance of 6 leading universities in Germany and Japan. So looking forward to the future, what would you think would be significance and the strength of the cooperation and collaboration between Germany and Japan in terms of education and research? So again, I'd like to first start with President Hideo Ohno of Tohoku University. So Ohno sensei, first, please.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's self-evident that for those who participated in the panel session and also the plenary talk, that we will together foster comprehensive knowledge that the society can use. And whether it's true that we have to take, it's a challenge for us to make those individual knowledge comprehensive. And that's something that we need to do together. But in any case, I believe a close relationship between our two countries and a close relationship between the Hexagon member universities who have produced so much excellent research and talented individuals will altogether contribute to the realization of a sustainable society. So we will do so by collectively working together and towards comprehensive knowledge. And we will be an active force within society and by taking the lead in addressing these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So next, President Nishio, please.
Thank you. Before talking about the future, I look back and appreciate the achievement Hexagon has made over the past decade. We should all be proud of the solid academic outcomes and opportunities we have created. Now, Hexagon has become an alliance to address global challenges and contribute to the SDGs through collaboration. Due to COVID-19, we cannot kick off our new phase in a face-to-face setting. However, the pandemic has taught us that we are taking the right step, that is promoting activities that address social issues. Let's continue working in this direction. Contribution of leading universities from two countries with a strong science background are important for our global society. That is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next, the president, the Minato from Kyoto University, please.
Thank you. Well, I personally understand that the major research universities in Germany and Japan share the very basic, principles, historically at least. So I'd like to briefly propose two quick things. One is it would be nice to promote the personal exchanges of the next generation potential university leaders, which will make our next generation, not us, younger generation, for the management and university, the future university, what it should be. That one, my proposal. The other one is we can expand the practical spin-out. It could be a very small project, but we can expand all those small spin-out projects from this core hexagon basis, so that we can have much wider and diverse networks of people among the two major universities in Germany and Japan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next, from the University of Göttingen, the Dr. Casper-Hehne, please.
Yes, thank you. Japan is one of the most innovative countries in the world, and to mention only a few examples due to the short time available, is particularly proven the development of robots in the field of artificial intelligence and digitization in general, as well as in climate research. And the keynote impressively presents the expertise in the field of disaster recovery. Research and innovation take priority in Germany as well, and especially research infrastructures are of the utmost importance for Germany as a leading scientific nation, both in the fields of basic research and applied sciences. Germany has a distinctive system of research funding that finances infrastructure and institutions, but in particular also supports top universities, research and research-based companies, cooperation between companies in science and innovative startups. Research priorities particularly cultivated in Göttingen include biodiversity and ecology, integrative neuroscience, and molecular biosciences. By drawing on complementary resources and expertise in common research fields, German-Japanese cooperation in the Hexagon Network enables an extraordinary high potential for solutions, especially with regard to global challenges.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hehne. So next, the Dr. Hirth at KIT, please.
Yes, thank you very much. It is certainly worth mentioning that the Hexagon Network lives very much from the direct and the personal cooperation of the scientists from both countries. And this is expressed particularly in the individual working groups and the new research projects which we have launched together last year. And in this context, applied research as well as transfer, where both countries are very strong, as well as the joint use of research infrastructures can play a significant role. In addition, the promotion of the young researchers is also a particular concern. The joint mobility programs for students and also the systematic exchange programs, as well as joint study programs and degrees, should be further expanded in the future. And I think in this context, the research-oriented teaching approach can play a significant role for both countries as well as for the Hexagon Network. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So finally, I'd like to ask the Rector Eitel. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Hexagon now, after more than 10 years, has shown its significance for German-Japanese and Japanese-German exchange processes between universities and leading higher education institutions like our 6 universities. We are the most important alliance between Germany and Japan. I think also, at least in Europe, and perhaps we are also a role model for worldwide exchange in such constructions. What can we do in the future? We can do together more than we can do alone as one single university. And that's the reason why we created Hexagon. Research and higher education could be strengthened, could be fostered by our alliance, and we can train and we can create a new type of researchers with a cosmopolitan view of science and the responsibility of a global society. We can learn from each other. We are not only more than one single university beside. If we work together as a comprehensive alliance, we can also learn from each other, but in a double sense. In one direction, the experts learn from each other by sharing their experiences in their different labs. On the other side, and I think we can strengthen that in the future very good also, that is that we can learn as universities leaders from each other. We should exchange more experiences from our perspective as university leaders, and then we can answer the questions how to do things better than we are doing these alone. In the moment, universities normally do not share their most innovative ideas because of intra-university competitive situations. But anyway, sometimes in some questions and in some things, we can share ideas. We can rethink altogether how to do things better than we are doing them at present. We can share the ideas how to be, as universities, as top-down institutions, more innovative. Also, as our scientists think to be more innovative by bottom-up processes. So we have to bring also this vertical comprehensiveness together. We can ask and we can find answers how to optimize research and higher education intramurally. We can ask how to optimize transfer and translation of knowledge, not only to society. In the moment, the whole discussion is focused on the transfer from university to societies. I ask how to transfer knowledge from natural sciences to social sciences, how to translate social science findings to natural science and medicine. It's not so easy. So we always think as university as a monolithical block, and society as a monolithical block. Universities, meanwhile, after the last 50, 80 years, have been grown to complex organisms in themselves, and they have to think also about translation intramurally, and we can rethink this in a bottom-up perspective by our scientists and in a top-down perspective as well. And so we have a lot of questions how to create, for example, another example, how to create best facilities and infrastructures for our scientists, how to create innovative spaces or creative spaces in order to foster and enhance our colleagues who are doing research. We are trying to optimize their environments, but they are doing it. So, for example, research evaluation is not the evaluation of researchers, but the evaluation of the infrastructures for doing research. And therefore, we have to rethink, we have to learn. And what I would like to recommend is everything I heard is perfect. We should do it. But also we have to be creative and to rethink our role in our universities. And therefore, I'm keen to, maybe in the next times, in future, keen to hear more about your thinkings about renovation of universities, about rethinking the intramural exchange. What is really interdisciplinary exchange or transdisciplinary exchange, how to do that, how to translate knowledge within the university, not, of course, also from university to society, but also within. These are questions which are moving my thinking by night, and I don't want to do everything I see in the political mainstream or in the higher education mainstream. I'm always searching for new perspectives we have to find in order to optimize our institutions, in order to optimize the conditions for the students, the young researchers, and the experienced, in order that they can translate their knowledge to society better than they are doing that in the moment. And therefore, I think also we have to rethink our role always. And I hope that Hexagon can also benefit from this perspective so that we can expand and we can realize the potential of Hexagon at present and in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. So, having listened to these variable comments from the panelists, I think we are all very hopeful that Hexagon will further contribute to the realization of the sustainable future society. So this concludes today's academic conference. And tomorrow there'll be student activities like virtual poster sessions and some workshops. And will be a closing ceremony by publishing the joint statement. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, indeed.
So just at the end, I once again, I want to thank colleague Imamura. It was a really a very good talk, very inspiring, and gave us a comprehensive view to the tsunami and to the earthquake 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago, and deep insights. And as an earth scientist, I want to mention that, and I want to stress that he gave us a very understandable and an inspiring overview over his research and the research of his colleague. Thank you very much to you and your colleagues.
Thank you very much. Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
I'm very honored. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, and see you tomorrow then.
お疲れ様でございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
お疲れ様でした。